you are 42 years, you've been out of job for 3 or 4 years, you have wife and children, and you're struggling because you don't have savings or any investment, this particular video is for you. And I'm going to give you 6 specific things you can do right now to go from zero to a place of stability. I'm doing this video literally as a result of a comment I got on my video, a video I posted sharing my experience of going through very dark times in my life as a 40 something year old. After I quit Shell, lost everything, and literally became homeless. I couldn't pay rent. So let me read you what the gentleman wrote, and then we can take it from there. He said, I am 42 years now with 5 children and a wife, living in a 2 bedroom house, but with no saving and no investment. I lost my job 3 years ago and now totally at zero. I am thinking about selling my house. Please guide me. So that's exactly what I am going to do. First of all, I empathize with your situation. I was there. It's not easy. The first thing, number one, that I will encourage you to do, I actually made some notes based on my own experience. First thing I will encourage you to do is to stop panicking. When you're in this kind of situation where you have to put food on the table every day, there's no saving, there's no investment, there's nobody to talk to, it can be a very, very mentally involving situation. The first mountain to move for you right now is your mental obstacles, your mental mountains. You need to, first of all, get yourself to a place of inner quietness where you can think very clearly. The reason is that we do not make the best of decisions when we are panicking. We do not make, which is why I would say, please do not sell your house yet. Knowing what I know, I wouldn't tell you to sell that house if you're in that situation. In fact, you've done so well to even own your place at 42. At that time, at 42, I was still renting. I didn't have a house. And I tell you, not having a house will amplify your suffering, your hardship. And again, if you're selling the house right now because of panic, you are not likely to get a good bargain for it because you're desperate. You're selling out of desperation. So relax, first of all, get yourself out of panic mode. Come to a place of mental clarity from where you can begin to take good decisions. And I'm going to encourage you to take care of your mental health, both your mental health and the mental health of your wife and of the children. This is not going to be the time for you to argue with the wife. I hope that your wife is supportive because this is the worst time. If you're the wife listening, this is the worst time to argue or to disrespect your man. Men don't thrive in an environment of disrespect and an environment that nags just because things are not going well. So you need peace. You need peace of mind. You need quiet. You need to get yourself out of panic, first of all. The second thing I will encourage you to do is to brainstorm with your wife and children. Sit at the table and brainstorm. Come out very clearly, articulate exactly the situation, how things are right now. And then, with the question, ask everybody, this is the situation that we have found ourselves as a family. What do you think is the way forward? And then, all 7 of you, you listen to everybody. Don't ignore, even if you have a 3 year old, 4 year old, don't ignore them. That was one blessing I had when I was going through similar difficult time. I got my wife and children. We brainstormed regularly as a family. Even today, we still brainstorm. We meet virtually every week. We still brainstorm because many of us do not realize the power of a united family. And maybe it relates to what Napoleon Hill had taught us, the mastermind. You do not realize the power that you have as a family when all your 7 minds come together to tackle a problem. Hidden in your 5 year old, excuse me, or in your 12-year old might be the idea that represents the breakthrough. So get everybody around the table. You can pray, ask for guidance, and then tell everybody what's in your heart. Write down every idea, no matter how wide it is. How do we move ourselves out of this situation as a family? Do that. And by the time your brains, your minds start coming together as a family, you'll be amazed the kind of things that um, you will come up with. Number three, you say that you have been looking for a job for 3 years. That tells you that it's not working. If you've looked for a job for 3 years and you haven't found a job, so you don't want to continue to look for a job, because the answer is not really to look for a job. What you really need right now is to look for low hanging fruits, handyman job, something that you can do to bring cash flow tomorrow. So that could be part of the brainstorming as a family. What is it that we can do today to bring in cash tomorrow? And it's not going to be of executive work in looking for managerial positions or looking to become a director. No, something you can do. In my own case, for instance, I made fruit juices. I made healthy juices, orange, pineapple and ginger, carrot, and all kinds of smoothies. I bottled them and froze them and sold. Sometimes I'll put my Bluetooth speaker along the street, turn on music and dance to generate traffic. And I sold. Meanwhile, at this time, I was selling fruit juices, including by the side of the road. I had worked with Shell. I was a Shell employee. So the biggest mistake you will make if you're in this particular situation is pride, is to say, oh, I'm this kind of person. I cannot come low to do that. No, that would be a huge hindrance. You need to raise cash to raise your family. That is actually more important than whatever kind of pride you think you. Oh, I can't do this. I'm an ex Shell staff. I'm a PhD holder, so I can't do this. That would be a very huge mistake, because what's important is whatever it takes, whatever you have to do to start generating cash the next day, do it. And around your neighborhood, you will find that, in fact, a family, an entire family, father, mother, children, in similar situation, started the cleaning. They started cleaning. They go to the neighborhood, and then they find houses. In fact, they came to clean my compound. They came to clean my house. And guess how much? I know they've done it for a long time. They probably started like this. And now it has become a big business, because the last time they came to my house, they did thorough cleaning, arranged the house, and also fumigated the place for 190,000 naira. And they did it for 1 2 days. But they started small. So you, as a family, you can decide, start cleaning people's homes and then raise cash. And then from there, you can become stable. So stop looking for a job. Start thinking about selling something. So it could be a service like cleaning, and I don't know what skills that you have, but look around you and solve problems that can bring immediate cash. Really important. Then again, if you're good at selling, you can sell things. Remember, my 87-year-old mentor told me when I was in a similar situation, wanting to start something and I didn't have the money to start. He said to me, Ogbo, if you want to start a business, if you have the money, buy and sell. There was acquire inventory, you can get office, you can employ people, get your raw materials, whatever. Buy and sell. He said, if you don't have money, then sell and buy. And that was exactly what I did, because when I was in your situation, I went around selling services. I started selling team building, even though team building wasn't what I wanted to do. But I started selling team building. And then the first company I ever sold team building to was Multi Choice. And I made a little over $15,000 from that. I hadn't seen that kind of money for years since I left Shell. But because I sold and bought, I broke that jinx. The fourth thing I will encourage you to consider, I assume that at 42, I don't know how old your oldest child is, but I would imagine that they are all still in school, primary school and secondary school at this time. Consider pausing school for a year. They will not die. And that's what I did too. In my own case, it fell within the time that I usually would put the children through gap year. In other words, they stay a year at home before continuing to further education. Um, and then I was explaining to my son because while he was still doing gap year, all his mates had already moved on to the university and things like that. But encouraging that this thing is not a marathon. And so within that time, he learned skills, he did things, he worked, he got a job. So because when you are in this situation, sometimes school fees happen to be like the source of greatest pressure for parents. They won't die if if they stay home, give you a breather, and they can actually help with whatever family business you decide to do. And then after 1 year, they start all over again. I remember in that situation, I couldn't pay fees. So on one occasion, my youngest son spent the entire third term. That was supposed to be the term he was writing common entrance. I didn't have money to send him to school. So he spent the whole time at home reading because the children can also read at home. You can also homeschool for at least a year. They won't miss anything. And then my other son spent a year, at home. So within this time, you can now put yourself together, reduce the pressure because right now you've reduced the pressure of housing because you don't have to look for a house, you're living in your own house. And again, you reduce the pressure that come from school fees. And then you use that this 1 year to find financial stability. Then um, learn new skills. That will be number five. I will encourage you. Learn new skills all through my career when I was working and right now that I'm running my own consulting business. It's been skills all the way. I've never worked once with what I studied in the university. My first degree was in zoology, but because I'm an ardent reader, I adapt very, very easily. And when I look at skills that are in high demand, I go learning skills. I learned how to sell. I learned how to work with people to coach. I learned how to speak on TV, to broadcast. I learned how to edit video. I've been learning. I learned how to do so many things. Because when you're a person of skill, you will hardly go hungry. So it could be physical skills like, learning to repair cars. It will amaze you how much very, very gifted car mechanics are learning. Stop looking at all those big, big things. They call you director of this, corporate something, something, HR manager. Stop looking for those things. Build skills, concrete skills, money making skills. Mechanics are making a lot of money. If I was younger, like you, I would learn that because right now, new cars are coming. Solar powered cars. Is it solar powered cars? Actually, mean electric vehicles are coming there. The old mechanics don't have the skill set to deal with some of these sophisticated cars, and it's getting increasingly difficult to find good mechanics, especially for exotic cars. So, if I wanted to go into something like that, of course, I will not go competing with the Toyota and all these common car mechanics. I look at the exotic cars. There's so many exotic cars coming into the country. The Bentleys, the Rolex, the Bentleys, the what are all these big cars that come in, even Mercedes. And then I have a big Ford truck to find the person in this country to fix my Ford F-250. It's near impossible. So those are the kind of things, very highly specialized vehicles that I could focus on. Or I could learn the skill of servicing boats, boat engines. Have all these billionaires who have boats in the boatyard. So my mentor took me to the Ikoyi Boat Club a couple of years ago, and I saw some of those things. There could be little things to do to learn. I'm just saying, focus on skills. There are digital skills, there are AI skills that can begin to give you income. There is content marketing, there is digital product making, all kinds of things. Focus on skills, not job. And then finally, I would say leverage relationships. Many of us underestimate the power of relationships. that I started lecturing in Lagos Business School during when I was going through what you're going through right now. It was a relationship. It was a relationship. I had a person there, now a professor, who decided to open it. He just said, "Oh boy, can you teach this class? I want to give you the opportunity to do." And I said, "Yeah, I could do it. You know, to teach a class of MBA." And I prepared very well, and I went and did it. It went so well. The reviews were so excellent, and then they asked me to come again and again. From there, the advanced management program, I started teaching there. From there, another relationship got me into China Europe International Business School. I started teaching there. From there, another relationship told me about the opportunity to work with Stanford University. If I wasn't leveraging relationships, I would never have known. And then working with Stanford University turned out to be like one of the highest points, of my career and experience. That was really very prestigious. But if I didn't build relationships and then maintain my relationships, I could never have that had that kind of access, and on and on and on. And then when I was going through what you were going through, I had I still remember three ladies, three women, independently, none told the other, none told the other. So one day, one of them brought post-dated checks for 3 months. In those days of checks, writing checks, so it's not like today that we transfer money. And she wrote three checks for 3 consecutive months. As that one was finishing, they didn't talk with each other. They didn't talk with each other. Another woman wrote 6 months of post-dated checks. Then another woman wrote another 3 months of post-dated checks. It was incredible. And I didn't ask them. I didn't ask them. But relationships are worth more than money. That's what my ancients said, the elders of my village. They say, he who has relationships is richer than he who has money. So leverage your relationships, build good ones, keep them alive. And so finally, I just want to encourage you. Don't give up. At 42, believe me, you're still young. You're still young. Imagine that you will live to be 90, because many people are living to 90, to 95 these days, to 80s. That means you still have literally 50 years ahead of you. So you can decide that in the next 3 to 5 years that you're going to build something that will sustain you for the rest of your life, and you can go ahead and build it. So don't let yourself slide into unnecessary depression and all that. Life is still there. Don't focus on the things you're seeing around you today. Focus on the bright future ahead of you. Is it going to be easy? Don't let me deceive you. It's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy for me. Neither is it going to be easy for you. But you're a man. That's why you're a man. So be mentally tough. Go out there and get things happening. And then set a good example, for your children and for your wife. Let them know that there's nothing that life can throw at them that they cannot come out of. And whatever happens, my friend, keep showing up, because you have no idea what's coming your way next. And I'll talk to you soon.